everybody, and welcome to the second episode of What If Midoriya Was the Shield Hero. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support in the previous episode and for your ideas and criticism. I'll try to make this series as well as I can and make it great for you guys. I am getting a bit tired of making only MHA videos, so I am enjoying also making a couple of other series like this one that is focused more around the Shield Hero. That being said, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, there will be a link in the description below. If you want more in this series, please let me know by either hitting that like button or telling me in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions, let me know either in the comments or in my Discord, link in the description. Now with that all out of the way, let's get into the video. In the previous episode, Midoriya was teleported to the kingdom of Melromark in a different world. Here he was told he was the Shield Hero. Wanting to help, he set off on his adventure, but was quickly faced with some hiccups on the way, like being accused of rape. After 2 days of training, he reaches level 6 and went into town to get some food. There he encountered a slave merchant who took him to his place of business, trying to sell him a slave. Here Midoriya has a look around while Belokas explains the situation, trying to sell him a slave. While hearing it, Midoriya thinks, man, how can someone do this to other people? Now that I think about it, there is a similar precedent when Quark started showing up. Still, I can't believe slavery is legal here. I wonder. Midoriya asks out loud, how exactly do you keep these, how do you call them, demi-humans under control? You seem to have some pretty powerful monsters here. Belokas stops for a moment and says, why yes, they certainly are powerful. He stops in front of a certain beast and continues, why this one is level 75. Midoriya looks at the beast, examining it, making air gestures as if he was taking notes. The slave trader then continues, and to answer your question, the demi-humans are kept in check and forced to follow commands from their masters by the slave crests. When he sees the crest, Midoriya takes a closer look and says, interesting. I'm guessing that all the beasts here are under your control then. Belokas twirls his mustache and says, why most certainly. Midoriya asks, you said this one is level 75. How much would it cost to buy? The merchant says, well, it is a highly capable and fairly rare. How does 15 gold pieces sound? Midoriya says, there's no way I have that kind of money. He thinks for a moment and says, but you already knew that. The merchant adds, why yes, I expected you to buy for these things. Now what kind of slave are you in the market for? Midoriya says, none. He turns around and says, good day, starts walking away. On his way out, he hears coffee and walks by a cage housing a little raccoon girl. The merchant says, interested after all, are we? Midoriya takes a look at Raphtalia, noticing that she seems sick, hungry, and shriveled up. Midoriya tries to reach out, but she just flinches back, afraid of what Midoriya might do. Midoriya asks, what happened to this one? The slave trader responds, well, her previous owner loved his torture. I wouldn't suggest her. She isn't long for this world. Midoriya whispers, I'm getting you out of here. He gets back up and says, I'll take her. Raphtalia crawls back against the wall, not wanting to leave. They then go to the merchant's main tents, where Midoriya gives some of his blood for the pact, and the blood is put on Raphtalia's slave crest. Raphtalia shrivels in pain and Midoriya asks, what's going on? Belokas assures Midoriya not to worry, the pain will dissipate soon. It's to make it impossible for her to defy you. While Raphtalia shrivels, something pops up on Midoriya's status window. Set as companion. He mumbles, huh, this is new. Seems I didn't know about this feature. I do wonder if there are others I don't know about. I'll have to check in later. The pact is completed and Midoriya pays the merchant the 30 silver they agreed on. Midoriya kneels down and asks Raphtalia her name. She doesn't tell him, so Midoriya says, that's alright, whenever you're ready, we can go. And you can tell me whenever you're ready too. She looks up at him, seeing him smile gently and thinks, he seems so kind. So she nods and leaves with him. Finally leave, the merchant says, actually, there is another matter we need to discuss. My commission. Midoriya asks, what? The merchant continues, for finding the slave, I get an extra pay. In this case, 1 silver. Midoriya pays the man and leaves with Raphtalia. After that, they step outside. Midoriya kneels down to make eye contact and says, you must be hungry. Let's get you some food and then some medicine. Raphtalia nods and they sit on. Once they get to a pub, they enter and Midoriya orders something to eat for both of them. A kid's meal for Raphtalia and a basic meal for him. They get the food. Raphtalia looks at it in awe and asks, is this all for me? Midoriya says, yes, so dig in. While they eat, Midoriya checks every screen on the main menu, finding out a bunch of useful skills and abilities that he didn't know the shield had, like the auto crafting and the weapon copy system. He says, interesting, as he notes them all down he starts making the gestures to make notes. Raphtalia looks at him weirded out while he does this and asks, what are you doing? Midoriya closes the status window and looks at her. She shrivels up, getting scared, and says, sorry for speaking out of turn. Midoriya smells and says, it's fine. It's just a weird habit of mine, so if I may ask, what's your name? Raphtalia shrinks up a bit and whispers, Raphtalia. Midoriya looks at her plate and asks, well, Raphtalia, are you done with your food, or are you still hungry? Raphtalia says, I'm alright, master. Midoriya says, okay, then let's get going. Before we get the medicine, I still need to get a couple of herbs so I can actually make it. Raphtalia says, okay. They then go to the woods outside of town. There, Midoriya takes down a couple of monsters, reaches level 7 because of it. He's using one for all in order to better deal with them, but still unsure if he has a stable way of healing injuries. If he suffers any, he doesn't use any big amounts of power. In the woods, he also grabs all the herbs needed. After clearing the area of monsters and reaching level 8, Midoriya sits down and using the blending ability he got previously, he mixes up some medicine and hands it to Raphtalia. Raphtalia accepts it and says thank you. She takes it and spits it out, saying, it's so bitter! Midoriya says, good medicine usually is. Now take it. You'll see it will make you feel a lot better afterwards. Raphtalia takes it and swallows it. Afterwards she asks, who are you? Why are you being so kind to me? Midoriya smiles and says, well, I'm a hero. My name is Izuku Midoriya. To be more specific, he looks at his hand that has the shield and continues. I guess I'm the shield hero. Although in my role I was training to become a hero too. My hero name is Deku actually. Raphtalia looks at him in awe and asks, shield hero? Like the 4 cardinal heroes? Midoriya says, I am. So, listen, I actually don't really need a slave for anything, so after you're healthy again, if you want to let you go, you can do whatever you want. If you want to stick around, that's fine too, but you'll have to actually help out, and I mean in a fight and stuff. Sorry to ask this of you, but I can't have you around if you're just going to end up in danger. Raphtalia says, no, I want to stay. If you really are the shield hero, then I have to help you in any way I can. Raphtalia's stomach growls and Midoriya smiles and says, let's help your stomach out first. Let's get something to eat, shall we? The night, and head to town in the morning to get some equipment. Sound good? And Raphtalia nods. They go to a nearby pond and fish a couple of fish. They cook them and eat them, afterwards going to sleep. While sleeping, Midoriya is waken up by screams. The moment he wakes up, he jumps into a battle position. He then sees Raphtalia struggling in her sleep and realizes everything that happened from what she's saying in her sleep. He comforts her and they both go back to sleep. The next morning, they head into town. First heading to a shop where they sell monster droppings, selling all the drops they got from their expedition the previous evening. Afterwards, they head to the pharmacy where Midoriya sells some of the excess medicine that he made, expecting to need more to cure Raphtalia's cold than he actually needed, because he's such a good medicine maker. He also tries to sell the herbs, but the merchant says, "Actually, Sir Hero, if it's alright with you, because of the wave's impact, medicine is a lot more needed, and looking at the quality of the medicine you have here, I would rather buy medicine from you than the herbs you've been selling me so far." Mir says, "Okay, I'll keep that in mind for next time." He has a look around and asks, "How much for those tools?" He buys the tools for 2 silver. Before leaving, something occurs to Midoriya and he turns to the merchant and asks, "Actually, is there any store around that sells something along the lines of healing potions? Something that can heal, let's say, broken limbs?" The merchant thinks for a moment and says, "Yes, there's a store like that about 3 blocks away." Midoriya says, "Thank you very much," and then leaves the shop. After selling all their gatherings, Midoriya and Raphtalia head to Erhard's blacksmith shop to buy some supplies. On the way, they run across a man selling some balls for interest in it. Midoriya says, "Here, you can play with it, but only after we're done for the day, okay?" Raphtalia, with a smile on her face, nods. They go to Erhard's shop and walk in. Erhard says, "Welcome." "Oh, it's you." He sees Raphtalia and asks, "What's with the girl, kid?" Mir says, "She's my new companion. I actually come for some equipment. A sword or weapon she can use, along with a bit of armor. What do you have that's under 30 silver?" Erhard then shows some options. Midoriya encourages Raphtalia to pick herself, and she does. While she's changing into her new equipment, Midoriya has a look around, testing the feature he discovered the previous day. He copies all the shields in the store without Erhard noticing. After they are done, Midoriya pays Erhard 35 silver and leaves the shop, saying "thanks a lot" on the way out. After that, Midoriya goes to a potion store nearby. He walks in and walks to the counter while Raphtalia plays with her ball outside. Midoriya asks, "Do you have any healing items, something along the lines of being able to heal broken bones or limbs?" The merchant in charge of the shop says, "Yes, we have many items along those lines. If you have any specifics about what you're looking for, so that would be helpful." Midoriya then explains the situation and the side effects of using one for all. The merchant recommends a specific type of potion. Midoriya buys 4 at 5 silvers apiece, leaving them with 2 silvers and 5 coppers after spending 20 silver. The next 4 days, the two spend leveling up, defeating monsters, getting supplies, and going deeper into the woods, getting further away from Melromark. After 4 days, Midoriya is now level 20 and Raphtalia 23. So Raphtalia has grown up at this point because of the way aging works for demi-humans. The equipment for both Raphtalia and Midoriya. Midoriya drops off some notes on how he wants his actual equipment to be. Think a mix between the Shield Hero's Naofumi's armor and his hero suit. After getting the new equipment, Midoriya asks Erhard, "So, is there any place close by where we can travel with our current equipment?" Erhard thinks for a moment and grabs a map. He says, "With all your stuff and on foot, there are about 4 villages you can go to. The closest is the village of Loot. It's about a half-day's journey. The second village is the village of Merton, which is about a day's journey. There are a couple of others, but they are further away. I personally recommend Loot." As they leave, Raphtalia says thanks. Both of them then finish their business in town, selling all their remaining materials that they have. They then set off on their quest towards Loot. When they arrive there, they sell their materials they gathered along the way. Midoriya asks the local merchant if there is any way to earn money. The merchant thinks for a moment and answers, "Well, now that you mention it, the ore coming out of the mines ought to fetch you a decent amount, but ever since the first wave, it's become a hiding place for a bunch of monsters." Raphtalia says, "Perfect for us then." Midoriya smiles and says, "Right." While on the way to the mine, Midoriya starts counting the money that they have and says, "Okay, so with the amount we currently have, plus taking into account that we have to set some aside to pay for the custom equipment, we almost have enough to pay for this removal of the slave crest." Raphtalia says, we don't have to get rid of it. Midoriya says, I think it'd be better if we did, but again, only if you wanted to. They reach the mine there. Midoriya goes to a small shack next to it and grabs some mining supplies and feeds some extra material there to his shield, unlocking the rope shield and the airstrike shield. He gets 2 pickaxes and they both head into the mine. Midoriya asks, okay, you ready for this? Raphtalia answers, absolutely, Master Midoriya. Midoriya says, please stop calling me that, but okay. So seeing as there might be many monsters around, I think our priority should be taking them down so we can collect ore without getting in the way. Raphtalia nods and says, right. They go deeper into the cave, taking down a couple of monsters, getting a bunch of levels. Midoriya is managing to keep up, using 15% of many of them out, and Raphtalia is holding her own, actually. Midoriya comments, you're getting really good at this. The comment motivates her and they keep going deeper. Eventually they get to a point in the cave where a 2-headed dog attacks them. Midoriya jumps in the way, blocking the attack with his shield. Midoriya says, Raphtalia, now! Raphtalia looks at the monster in terror, however, dropping her sword and falling to the ground. The monster's second head bites into Midoriya's shoulder, with blood coming out. Midoriya looks back and sees Raphtalia afraid. Midoriya asks, are you alright? The monster bites in deeper and Midoriya shouts in pain. Raphtalia steps back and says, I can't do this! Midoriya says, that's fine, then run. I'll buy you time and try to defeat it. The monster takes its head out and bites again. Raphtalia has a small flashback and regains her composure. Grabbing her weapon, she strikes at the beast, killing it in one attack. Raphtalia helps Midoriya up and asks, are you alright, Master Midoriya? Midoriya says, just hurts a little bit. He grabs one of his healing potions and drinks it, healing his injuries. He moves his arm and says, much better. Their XP then upgrades, with Midoriya leveling up to 22 and Raphtalia being partway through 26. Raphtalia says, sorry Midoriya, I couldn't act, it's just... Midoriya says, I understand. He smiles at her and says, don't worry about it. You know you scream in your sleep, not to mention talk. I know what happened, and I promise you that I will try my hardest to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone ever again. Raphtalia says, then I'll stay by your side and help out however I can. After beating the monster, they start mining ore in the shield. They go back to the castle town to sell the ore they collected. The pair spends the next 3 days trying to level up more and more, developing their skills. They even go to Merton village to adventure some more. After that period of time, they return to the capital to get the custom order from Erhard and some more supplies for the incoming wave. Once there, they are done. With shopping for supplies like potions and selling their materials, they go to Erhard's blacksmith shop. There, Erhard presents the new suits to Midoriya. Midoriya looks at it and inspects it. He comments, this looks great. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you? Erhard says, it was nothing, kid. For you, let's say 100 silvers. Midoriya says, thank you so much. Erhard says, sure. The materials were hard to come by and the design is hard to make, but it has all you asked for. Enhanced durability and damage reduction. Midoriya says, great. Erhard says, and for the lady, I also have something. Erhard presents her a new sword, bigger and more potent than the last, along with some new armor for her. Raphtalia says, thank you so much. Erhard says, no problem. Well, that'll be 150 silvers. Midoriya pays up and they leave, now wearing the new equipment. Again, the armor Midoriya is wearing is a bit of a mixture between his hero suit and what Naofumi wears, with some damage reduction thrown in so he can use more one for all without any backlash. I would say about 25%. Like he uses the 25% as if he were using the 8% in the main series. As they leave the smith shop, Midoriya and Raphtalia spot the city getting ready for the waves. Raphtalia says, "It's clear that everyone in town is on edge now." Midoriya says, "Well, the wave is almost here. We need to come up with a strategy for it. If only we knew where and when it was going to come." Someone overhears them and says, "What do you mean? This is public knowledge. You can find out at the clock." Midoriya asks, "What clock?" The townsperson says, "You know the church? It has the hourglass inside of it. That is what indicates when the wave comes." Midoriya says, "Thank you." And he and Raphtalia go to the church to inspect the hourglass. When he gets there, Midoriya says, "Wow, so cool. This is probably the hourglass the king was talking about." A light shines out of Midoriya's shield, hitting the dragon hourglass, and a countdown shows up on Midoriya's status window, showing 19 hours and 17 minutes until the next wave. Motoyasu then says, "Oh, is that Midoriya? What's that? You aren't still fighting with that equipment, are you?" Midoriya says, "Actually, I haven't fought in this yet. It's brand new." Motoyasu then laughs. Raphtalia asks, "Do you know who these people are, Master Midoriya?" Midoriya says, "That's the spear hero." Raphtalia asks, "Like the other cardinal heroes?" Midoriya answers, "Yeah." "Well, we should get going. We have less than a day to prepare for the wave." As they walk, Mind shouts, "Leave now before infecting us with your evil." As he walks out, Midoriya passes by Ren and Itsuki and says, "Hi." Itsuki says, "Hello, Midoriya, how's it going?" Midoriya says, "Pretty well, actually. We just managed to hit level 30 yesterday, although the speed at which we're going has reached a halt. It's going slower and slower every time." Ren says, "Well, yeah, the more you level up, the harder it is to do it again." Itsuki hands Midoriya his notebook and says, "Do you want this back?" Midoriya accepts and says, "Thank you. Sorry for leaving it behind. It was just the anger of the moment." Itsuki says, "It's fine." In the background, Motoyasu starts flirting with Raphtalia and gets a bit too close. Midoriya says, "Well, see you guys in the next wave, I guess." A loud clang is heard and Motoyasu falls to the ground, being thrown by Raphtalia. Mind shouts, "How dare you throw Sir Motoyasu on the ground like that, you filthy demi!" Midoriya jumps in the way and says, Don't you talk to her like that." He helps Motoyasu up and apologizes before leaving the capital again in order to do some last minute grinding before the wave. The day continues and they spend the night in an inn getting as much rest as they can. The next day they make the final preparations for the wave. A couple of minutes before it starts, Raphtalia suddenly says, "Midoriya, I want to thank you." Midoriya asks, "For what?" Raphtalia continues, "For saving me, feeding me and nursing me back to health, and most importantly, for giving me a purpose. I swear, Midoriya, I will help you out as much as I can in any way I can." Midoriya says, "Well, thank you for helping me, for being my sword." Raphtalia smiles with her tail swinging back and forth. Midoriya smiles and looks at the time and says, "Stay sharp, we're getting teleported in but a moment." In a flash of light, all the heroes and their parties are teleported close to Loot Village, to where the wave of catastrophe is hitting this time. Well, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and as always, if you did and you want more of the series, let me know by either hitting that like button or by saying so in the comments below. If you have any suggestions or feedback, be sure to say so in the comments or in my Discord. Link to that in the description. I was told in the last part that this was a bit too similar to this show, and do hope I rectified that mistake. Hope you all enjoy this, and yeah, I hope to hear from you in the comments. I hope you all have enjoyed this, and until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day.